Dominating your fantasy league? Prove it.
Shaping up to be a great game between these two teams. There's no telling what might happen.
Enhance the game with 3 easy steps. Predict, compete, and win. Start now and play your first $20 risk-free. Only on WINVIEW.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Listen, we're about to get started. We got a good stream for y'all tonight. You see the title of the stream, the Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable, okay? The Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable, and we're going to talk about that tonight, all right? We're going to talk about several things, but that is the theme of this stream. Y'all hit that like button on your way in. Shout out to the homie Ball Game. I see you in the building, man. Salute to you, homie. It's been a minute, man. We're going to have to do something together soon. He said, LOL, y'all been waiting 2 decades for a QB, but expect someone to show up and be a Hall of Famer in only 12 games. Crazy. Yeah, that's unreasonable expectations. I would actually agree with that. You definitely don't expect somebody to be a Hall of Famer in 12 games. But we're going to talk about tons of topics tonight. All right. But the Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. What's the inevitable? What's the inevitable? A lot of people may think that I'm talking about Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not. This isn't even about Tua. He's a piece of a bigger puzzle. I mean, that's just the reality. If we want to be honest, I know Tua Tagovailoa dominates the headlines because it's the most controversial conversation in Dolphin Nation, and it has been, and it's really fan driven. To be quite honest with you, I drive it. People who, opposite of me drive it. We drive that narrative. But this is about the team. The Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. In order for us to understand the inevitable, we have to understand what's going on right now in the trajectory and where the Miami Dolphins are headed. Okay. First of all, we find ourselves 1-5. Nobody saw this coming. We had a lot of people that might have even said 2-6, but nobody nor their mama saw 1-5 coming. Okay. Not only is it 1-5, we lose to the worst team in the NFL, becoming the worst team in the NFL. We definitely don't have the worst talent in the NFL, and that's what's frustrating about it. We definitely have good talent on this team. But here's where the rubber meets the road. General managers have tough decisions to make, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Grier has already made several tough decisions. It's too early to say whether I'm not going to say any one of them. It's too early to gauge many of them, whether they were the right ones or the wrong ones, because it's just too early. There are guys who are balling out right now. That was a Chris Grier decision that 3 years from now, we might be like, oh my gosh, this guy is the worst guy ever. There are guys who are playing like trash right now, and 3 years later, we're like, this is the best guy ever. It's definitely too early to determine all of Chris Grier's decisions over the last 3 years. And I go back 3 years because the rebuild started before we got Brian Flores, and I need a lot of y'all to remember that. We started purging this roster. And I'm going to tell you guys, the rebuild started the summer where we got rid of Laramie Tunsil, Kenny Stills, and all of those guys. Okay, so the rebuild started about 2.5 years ago. And here we are coming up on 3 years. Not quite there, though. We're only 2.5 years in, 2 full seasons. And the reality is, and Ball Game can attest to this because he said it multiple times when we used to have the panels on this show. A rebuild takes how many years, ladies and gentlemen, to complete? Put it in the comment section. Put it in the comment section. How many years does a rebuild take to complete to where you should be competing with anyone? You should be at a point to where you're competing with anyone. Y'all put that number in the comment section. We've been saying this. The answer is 3. The answer is 3. A rebuild should be taking 3 years, and everything after 3, like year 4 and 5, you're fine-tuning. Year 3, you have built a playoff team. Year 4, you're realizing how far you got in the playoffs and you're refining the roster to see if you can get that extra win in the playoffs. Year 5, you're trying to compete for a Super Bowl at a minimum. Whether you get it or not, that's the expectation to be competing for one. But we have to stick with this pivotal year 3. As soon as year 3 is over, you should be going to the playoffs. This is year 3, ladies and gentlemen. This was the year where, worst case scenario, you are going to grab a wild card spot. Worst case scenario. Does anybody see wild card in our future right now? Put a yes or no in the comment section. Just curious. Shout out to the homie Monster Chill. I see you, Jacquees Bethune. Shout out to you, man. Homecoming last week. Disappointing as well. Shout out to the Mod Squad. Shout out to all the members of the channel. Thank you for your love and support. Simeon, I see you. Everybody's saying no. We're not in our 3rd year where you should be at a minimum on a rebuild, getting that little playoff berth of a wild card. Now, is a wild card spot still possible? Yeah. Yes, it is. But let's really be honest and think about what the Miami Dolphins have left us at this point, because I want y'all to get in the mind frame of realizing that playoffs is still possible. The playoffs are still possible. As soon as you hit 7 losses, no more playoffs. When you hit 6 losses, you need a lot of other things to happen. But playoffs are still possible. But here we are with how many left? 17 games. 11 games left. And the reality is, to have a faint chance of making the playoffs, we have to go 9-2. No. Excuse me. Please forgive me for saying that, ladies and gentlemen. We have to go 10-1. And it's still not guaranteed. If we go 11-0, we're in the playoffs. If we go 10-1, we're still not guaranteed, because based off of last year, 10-1, 11-6 this year, based off of last year, outside looking in. So let's talk about what the situation we as an organization have left ourselves in. Here we are needing to go 10-1 to have a chance, not a guarantee. We need to go 10-1 or 11-0 to make the playoffs. But where are we right now? We're coming off of a 5-game losing streak. We're coming off losing to the worst team in the NFL, now holding the crown as the worst team in the NFL. We're coming off, I want y'all to follow this, okay? We're coming off both of your starting corners that are the highest paid on the team and top paid in the NFL at the position. Both of them out due to injury and still don't know when they'll return. Will it be this week? Will it be next? We don't know. Or will it be something that lingers long term where they're in and out, or it's aggravating this week, or they're going to have limited practices and all of that. We also find ourselves with the top receivers, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams can't stay healthy on the field, out. We also find ourselves making improvement on the O-line, but still questions with the fact that we are going to have to at least replace 1 or 2 guys at the end of this season. We're looking at a team who can't run the ball consistently. And you know what? Let me backtrack on that. We can run the ball. We just don't do it consistently because we have no identity, as EM would always say. This team just has no identity. What else? We have a linebacking core who plays like the weakest group in the NFL when it comes to all aspects of the position. The only thing they are good at is getting pressure on a quarterback when we send the blitz. They can't cover in the secondary to save their life. They're not physical enough to be dogs in the run-stopping game. What else do we have on this team? A head coach that many love, a head coach who inspires, a head coach who motivates, but just can't figure it out right now. Who's failing? And it's one thing to show that the team is failing, but now there's, see, the offensive coordinator has shown moments of failure. The defensive coordinator has shown moments of failure. Now the head coach has shown a moment of failure. We got young coordinators, young head coach still. This is what we have right now. This is what we have right now. And at the end of the day, we have a young quarterback who is a good football player, but he's also developing. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins aren't making the playoffs this year. And I love to be wrong on that. I love to see a miracle, some type of continuity where we're just running off victories. But the Miami Dolphins, we're not making the playoffs this year. And why do I bring that up right now? Because I need you to go back and look at my title. Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. We know that we are not going to make the playoffs this year. So you know what the Miami Dolphins should do at this point? Do what you already know what you're going to do in the offseason. Does anybody think Devontae Parker is going to be here next year? Go get an asset for him right now. Now, do y'all think Xavier Howard is going to be here next year? Because it took all of this for y'all to realize that X, it's time for him to go too. Because it doesn't, like you got to stop betting on him to keep on playing superior football. His time might have come and gone, and if we're wrong on that, it's fine. It's okay if we're wrong on it. It's okay if X goes somewhere else and balls out. It's okay. It's time for us to move on because we do not need to invest $20 million on Xavier Howard per year on a new deal, giving him extra years now. You might even want to consider moving Byron Jones, but he will be the cheaper option, at least just for one more year. These are just facts, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and take one of those running backs and see if you can get you a 6th-round pick for one of them. I don't care which one it is. I don't care which one you love and you want to see long-term, because I'm about to break down what they need to do. Try Hard said everyone loves a good underdog story. Miami Miracle 2.0 trade for Marlon Mack, and let's get this 11-win streak. I'm all for it, bro. But when I see it, I'll believe it. It's time to have a real conversation at this point. And let's be some realists, man. And if we're proven wrong, then that's better for us anyway. There's one thing about football that coaches have no control over is player effort. That 4th and 1 play, tight end got destroyed. We're going to go over the film tomorrow, y'all. But I want y'all to hear all the things that I'm saying that we might as well go ahead and do. Trade Xavier Howard. Trade potentially even Byron Jones. Trade Will Fuller right now if you can. Because, gosh, he's getting paid just free money. Will Fuller is starting to look like the freaking, what's that bum name that I can't stand, that quarterback we brought in and gave him $11 million for nothing? Jay Cutler. Will Fuller starting to be Jay Cutler 2.0 as far as I care. At least Jay Cutler was on the field. But I trade him too. I'd sit him too. Because, and I'm going to break all this down. I'm going to keep going down the list of who I would go ahead and move on from, though. Go ahead and trade Emmanuel Ogbah. Because if you haven't read up his contract by now anyway, which you should have, now don't get me wrong, Ogbah is the one that I want us to keep on a new deal. It'll be his last deal, good deal in the NFL probably. He's the one I want to keep. But if you ain't give him his deal yet and you don't know if you're going to keep him next year, then go ahead and trade him. Get something now. He's one of the top NFL. He actually is number one in the NFL, tied number one in the NFL in pressures. Trade him. Next thing I would do is trade Jerome Baker as well. Yes, I said it. You already done got 1 year of that raggedy contract. Trade him with another team and tell him you'll pay some of the cash on it. Because you're going to take a loss. You'll pay some of the cash. Somebody said you trust them with assets, TD. We're going to break that down. Hold on. We're going to break that down. Don't trade nobody on the O-line. Don't trade Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going to explain all this to y'all in a second. All them other middle of the road receivers that we just had Tua playing with, keep every single one of them. Because I can't believe everybody with this narrative, well, if he had his top weapons in that game, it would have been even better. He got almost everything they gave him, ladies and gentlemen. Stop that. Them guys played just as well, if not better, than them starters would have played. You know why? If them starters would have been in there, Tua would have probably neglected some of those wide open guys and took 50-50s when he shouldn't. He would have probably said, Devontae Parker out there on the one-on-one, let me throw this 50-50 up instead of looking at Gesicki coming across the middle for 24. So like I said, trade Devontae Parker, trade Will Fuller, and Preston Williams, let him be on IR until hopefully he gives us something. But the reason why you trade all those guys, because first of all, I'm naming all the people that's getting older, who's going to try to demand a bigger deal to stay, who ain't live up to a bigger deal to stay. And it's just, and get an asset for him now and before it's too late. And I'm going to tell y'all, all 6 of the guys, are how many people I named? Byron, X, 3 receivers, Ogbah. Those 7 guys cumulatively, altogether, those guys might bring you back a value of about 2 first-round picks in a second. Because X alone might get you a 1. Byron might get you a second somewhere. Ogbah might even get you something sweet. But all them guys might total up to, you might be shocked when you flip it all together. You're going to get some assets. You're going to get probably 2 very valuable assets, and you're going to get a whole bunch of middle-of-the-road assets. Mixed in with your first rounder next year. Mixed in with the 2 first rounders the year after that. Mixed in with the other 3 second-round picks that you have 3 years after that. And here's why. The Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. What you going to do? Play those guys out to do what? If we don't make the playoffs this year, which is not likely, what's the benefit of playing it out with them when half of them you already know you don't have plan on keeping next year? And you're going to wait till they finish a full year, let their value either go down or they get older to get a less of a value next offseason? This is the time to get your max value before November the 2nd. Stack up them draft picks. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know why? Because if you take away everybody that I've already named on this team, if you take them away, you would be looking directly at your core anyway. Because if anybody thinks that the guys that I named were the core for this team, then you don't understand football in an appropriate rebuild. These are the guys that were placeholders while we built the ship, because by the time the ship is built, they're going to be too old anyway. They were the sacrifice. These are the guys that are the sacrifice for your rebuild. Everybody else on this roster is your core. No matter how good or bad they are, this is the result of your core. The remaining roster minus those guys. What good is Noah Igbenogany if he not going to play all the rest of the games to get every look you can at him this year instead of not? See, sometimes it's kids just like him that need some rhythm. I know we've all given up on Noah Igbenogany, but you know what? As far as I care, he ain't look any worse than Nick Needham did in them first 10 games of his first season with the Dolphins. In them last 6 games, it was like, whoa, look at Nick Needham. Them first 10 games, Nick Needham out there getting toasted left and right. I was arguing with EM Dolphins fan. I remember. Man, y'all gonna put some respect on Needham name. I'm telling you, he the truth. Shut up, EM. He get toasted every week. Man, no, bro, I'm telling you, as he can be quiet, EM. And sure enough, by the end of that season, I said, look at Nick Needham. And let me tell you how I appreciated Nick Needham at the end of that first season, them last 6 games where he was balling out. I appreciated his play so much that I was mad at the refs for calling that pass interference that cost us the game, because that's tough football right there that a veteran wouldn't, a good veteran would not have gotten the call on, but it was Nick Needham. But I said, you know what? He's going to arrive, though. He's going to arrive. But this is your core. This is your core. Minus the guys I just said trade. This is your core, and ladies and gentlemen, yes, that includes Tua Tagovailoa. Because let's just be honest. I know a lot of people don't want to hear me say that because the core includes Tua Tagovailoa. But listen, and EM always brings this up to me, even though I still think he's delusional. We wouldn't even be having this conversation about Tua if Deshaun Watson wasn't available. Some of us just realize, man, I want Deshaun Watson so bad that at the end of the day, you got to do this by all means. Forget Tua. But if they not going to make that move, then it is what it is. Tua's a part of your core. He's going to be a part of your core. And for the longest, I've told y'all, I don't believe in his upside, but it doesn't mean it can't be achieved. This is what you got in bed with. This is what they ordered with no refund. And I'm not talking about Tua when I say that. The whole team, like I said, trade those 7 players that I just mentioned to y'all, and this is your core left. Let's go through that core. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I can't wait to get to this point. But let's go through that core. Led by Tua Tagovailoa as your starting quarterback. One of these running backs, I don't care which one. I told you, trade one of them. But let's say Gaskins is still here. Tua Gaskins. Mike Gesicki is your centerpiece right now because that's just what it is. Waddle is your feature. And the rest of the guys, because those guys will always be fighting for a roster spot. But I'm talking about your core, okay? Your core. is Tua, Myles Gaskins, Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Austin Jackson at guard, Liam Eichenberg at left tackle, Robert Hunt at right tackle. Hopefully, I'm just waiting. God dog, Miami. And potentially Solomon Kinley. Because I know Dieter, he showed some flash and stuff like that, but that's still a question mark to me. But that is the core of your offense that you're supposed to build and be losing games with. You're not supposed to be losing games with the current team. If you're going to lose games, you lose with them and let them grow. I'd rather sit around here like the Jets than what we're doing now. I'd rather be a Jets fan sitting there like, we know we ain't going to win, but let's watch these guys grow. Let's see who's getting better. Oh, I'd rather do that. That's 10 times more exciting than the expectations we got for this team and then coming up beyond short. But ladies and gentlemen, that's your offensive core. And when you think of that being your offensive core, now you only need to bring in one offensive lineman as a starter, that is, maybe at center, maybe at right guard, just depending on how it works out. But you may only need to bring in one guy as a starter next year. You need to go ahead and bring in a featured back now. A featured back. I'm done with the committee stuff. I like committee, but at the end of the day, we need a dog. And nothing wrong with Gaskins, but I still need a dog. Y'all saw Derrick Henry last night. You ain't going to find that, but I'm just saying you still need a dog. And then you go in free agency, and you know what? You don't. And matter of fact, it may not even be free agency. You might just double back up in the draft again and get you another receiver. And you continue to grow this roster. Because I'm not even talking about free agency. We'll get there. And on defense, what is your core? Jalen Phillips. All those guys 2 years ago that were middle-of-the-road guys, your Van Ginkels, y'all know all them guys. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time even remembering their names, thinking they each other. The Van Ginkels of the world, the Zeilers of the world, all of those guys on the D-line. You got Christian Wilkins is a core. Raekwon Davis is the core. You already have a core. And I'm telling y'all, I want them to re-sign Emmanuel Ogbah. But if they're not going to do it, go ahead and trade him now. Who else is the core? Javon Holland, Brandon Jones, Nick Needham, and Noah Igbenogany is a part of the core, whether you like it or not, because of where he was drafted. Put him out on the field. He should be playing right now for the rest of the season. He should be starting out there, whether he getting toasted or not. And maybe you still got hope, but if we lose another game, I don't want to hear nothing. If we lose another game and you ain't got Noah Igbenogany as your starting corner, then shame on this organization. And ladies and gentlemen, truth be told, that is a good core to start off with on defense. So what does that leave you getting on defense? What do you need to go get on defense now? 3 freaking linebackers. I'm sick of all of them. You need to go get 3 linebackers and another edge rusher. Because you'd have all the assets from a draft standpoint, and you'd have all the assets from money standpoint. Y'all understand we supposed to have $80 million next year and guarantee like leftover? But if you make those trades that we just talked about, this team might have over $120 million with all that draft capital you could get right now. And this is why I say, ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. You don't have to wait. And here's the beautiful part of you don't have to wait. Not only do you not have to wait, you're still getting to look at Tua because he's the starter at that point. You're still getting to look at Noah because he'd be the starter. You still get a look at all of these guys. Matter of fact, you get the ultimate look because you're keeping them on the field and they're actually playing. And let's see if we can get Flores to get this core team winning games like we did 2 years ago with all the bums off the street. Get ahead of the inevitable. Don't watch the ship go down and then in the offseason thinking that you just need to make that tweak and that tweak. We in freaking week 6, right? We just finished week 6, and our top 3 receivers hurt again, just like last year. Trade them. Tua done had one of his best games of his career without him anyway. Without him. And I told y'all this last year. When y'all was tripping about they were dropping the ball. I said Tua was 22 of 28, and y'all complaining about drops. The sad part is some of y'all don't even realize Tua is more productive without just starters. Tua has been more productive without the good players. The good players lock him into a 50-50 man. I feel like it was actually a blessing for him to not say, I got Parker, I'm going to take this 50-50 shot. Because on those same plays, instead, he said, I ain't got nobody for that, so let me, look at Gesicki, 24 yards. Some of y'all gonna get what y'all asked for. Them guys come back. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I bet you his productivity decline if they come back. Completion percentage and all. Do y'all realize what he did on Sunday is higher percentage than 50-50s? 50-50s are 50%. That's freaking 50%. What, he completed 70 in this game or something? And I'm glad somebody put that in the comment section. Parker catching 53%. Hollins catching 71. You can't make this up. Hollins out there running the basic stuff. Turn around. Bam. Oh, caught. And we got to sit here and be all drooling over Parker who 50-50. When the last time you seen Parker burn somebody with just crazy separation down the sideline? Tua got all those weapons this year. You know they're going to take the top off. They're going to open up the defense. I miss me with all that. Been telling y'all since day one, that ain't how it's going to work. I know in theory it's supposed to, but that ain't how it's going to work. It's not how it's going to work. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I got to say this about Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday. Tua had a really good game, in my opinion. His development needs to be he got to be perfect in certain situations. I know we all talk about the interception. He just got to remove that. He can have the interception tipped at the line of scrimmage picked. He can have the interception, threw it in a tight window. The guy, it got picked. It was close. He can have those. He just had to clean up the one that he had. The way that it was had, he can't do that. He got to clean that up. The reason why I get nervous about Tua is because for him to carry this team and for him to carry the team, he got to be darn near perfect. And the problem is you can't expect any quarterback to be perfect, but in order for him to carry a team, he has to be. And I think I see him having a whole bunch of coming close to it, but not quite it, because you can't even fault him for it, because you can't expect him to. It's unfair, but that's what the team would need. Not unless your defense gets back to playing lights out. And I always knew that wasn't going to last forever. I've been telling y'all that. Last year was a result of Xavier Howard playing out his mind and us finally sending 0 blitzes. Putting real pressure on teams. I know y'all keep putting up that stat, the last 6 games for 2 or 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That ain't a big deal to me. I don't use that as a knock on him. At the end of the day, let's just take a moment. Whether you like Tua or not, let's take a moment to acknowledge some facts here. Let's take out the dislike or the like or the hate or love of Tua. Let's take it out for 1 second. I'm begging everybody listening right now, just take it out for 1 second. Let's be honest about some things. Just like I am with Josh Allen. He's a bum of all bums. He a good quarterback. He a borderline great quarterback to me, honestly, my real assessment. I just know he a bum because in the biggest moments you do to certain things, he ain't getting over the hump. But that's all, debatable. But if we want to go ahead and be 1,000 about Tua Tagovailoa, let me tell you what I've seen in Tua Tagovailoa. I've seen a quarterback that's growing, making improvements. Okay? A lot of people don't care about that because that's what you're supposed to do, right? I also see a guy who can make plays in the general sense of the game. Hike the ball, find a guy, stick it to him if he got the time to do it. And that's been an iffy thing because he doesn't always have the time. And then when he gets the time, he already got the don't have the time syndrome. So there may be a little form of panic in there sometimes. And you can't fault him for it. Something he got to grow out of. I give him that. I see a guy who has an arm that can do some really nice things in tight situations. Within 20 yards. And I see a guy that if he has a great defense and he gets protection, could lead this team really far. And nothing is wrong with that. Nothing at all is wrong with that. I don't see more than that. Don't mean he won't be more than that, but that's all I see right now. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. The issue that I have with Tua, and to be honest, it ain't even him. It's the circumstance that he's in. You're not going to always have great protection because no one does. Any given Sunday. You're not going to always have separation. No one does. Any given Sunday. There are times where you're going to single-handedly have to make the difference. Let me give you an example. I think all y'all saw that game last night. Josh Allen is a bum of all bums, but let me give you one play example. Do you remember the one where he was in trouble in the pocket and he ran to the right and hit Cole Beasley wide open in the end zone to the right side up the field where Tennessee was running a zone? The guy was kind of following, but he's like, I'm getting out of my zone. So hopefully somebody got him and they got a touchdown. Do you remember that? Do you remember that play? That's the exact play that I have no confidence in Tua. I have no confidence in him because one thing that I've noticed about Tua Tagovailoa that you just don't get from him, it's already hard enough to get him to throw something 25 plus yards down the field. It's already hard enough to get him to throw something 25 yards plus down the field. But you sure ain't going to catch him throwing nothing 25, 30 plus yards down the field on the run. He definitely ain't doing that on the run. And those limitations aren't going to stop him from being a good quarterback, but there comes a point in time where your quarterback got to do that. There comes a point in time where you got to drop that post route just right in over the top for the most difficult arm pass you could ever have. He ain't got that type of arm. Tua is a guy who has a beautiful arm to get it from here to there. Might even have some accuracy on it at times. I still waver with that, but I see it sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, So what we have to come to the realization about with Tua, which I'm perfectly fine with, we can go forward with this, but this is what we got to realize and stop beating him up or praising him. We just have to come to the generalization that at the end of the day, everybody need to do their job well around Tua so that he can maximize what he can give us. Any lapse around him, and it'll show in him. And that ain't his fault. Let's get this straight. This is what I truly think about Tua. Any lapses around him will affect him. And that ain't his fault because the lapses around him, whether it's the O-line, whether there's no separation, whether it's pressure, whatever it is, bad play call, whatever it is, it will affect him. Because I don't see him being the guy that will, regardless of the circumstance, go take certain moments. All this debating on, did Tua lose us that game? Anybody who says Tua lost us that game, you're showing your hate colors of Tua. But anybody who makes an excuse for him not taking the game, you're showing your love fest for him. He did not lose the game, but he definitely had an opportunity to put the team on his back and take it. Any top quarterback in the NFL does not lose that game. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Any top quarterback just doesn't lose it. I could point to about 4 plays where that just ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Somebody said Tua had a great game, just needed some polishing. And that polish is your W. He ain't the reason we lost, but I promise you that polish is what gets, listen, that polish, had he had that polish, we would be raving about him right now because that means he took it. That's what a lot of what y'all call haters, that's what they waiting on him to just take something. I ain't talking about taking what they give you. Take what they ain't giving you. Just take it. It's those moments. Is it too late for him to ever show that? Not at all. He's still got time to show that. And that's without him becoming a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's not that guy, TD. It depends on what guy you're talking about. Is he Brady, Deshaun, or any of them? No, he's not that guy, but he's a guy. Doesn't mean that doesn't mean the guy he is ain't good enough. The issue that we have is we're faced with a situation that since he's not that guy, if everything around him does their job and does it great, he ain't got to be that guy. We could still win a Super Bowl. And I know I've said it. I've actually argued with Ian and said Tua would never win us the Super Bowl. But if everything around him plays superb, like our defense is lights out, our running game gets established, Tua definitely can lead us to the promised land. But there's so many factors that have to be present. And we're sitting here trying to bank on all those factors to be present. We can go down that road. We can hope for those factors. We can keep fighting to get those factors. But so many things have to go right at the same time for you to get those factors. And on top of that, one of the main things that have to go right, he still got to play perfect. He still has to play perfect in what he's doing. And right now, the reality is we're not getting perfect play from him. We're getting, on occasions, I want to be fair, on occasions, we're getting really good play at times. And that's what it is. But the Miami Dolphins, they need to go ahead and get ahead of the inevitable. Go ahead and trade in your playoff book and pick up your evaluation book and go ahead and start looking at your core and working with them and developing them, getting them ready for the future, seeing who needs to stay and who needs to go. And then when you come into the offseason, you go back in the draft, you get a few more core young player pieces, and then you go in free agency and you go get some really good mentors and guys who could also start alongside them and show them the ropes. I ain't talking about no Mets and all of, I ain't talking about Skurras. Go get you an all-pro guard or something in free agency. Spend the freaking money and let them hang around for 3 years with these other guys. Move Kenley or whoever you got to move to the bench in the meanwhile and let him develop because his future could still be bright. Maybe that's the guy you sit and let develop a little longer and he's a solid backup until he gets earned his spot to be a starter. You bring in certain veterans at certain positions. And another thing, if you're going to move on with Tua and he going to be the guy and you're not going to trade for Deshaun and all of that, stop all this. Stop all of this Jacoby Brissett and Ryan Fitzpatrick stuff. If Tua is your starter, just like everybody else in the league, Reed Sinnett is your backup next year. Because when you bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick, when you have a Jacoby Brissett, you're basically giving further credence that just in case Tua bombs it up. Because, I don't know. That's basically what you're saying. And that ain't much of a vote of confidence either. Whatever. Because last I checked, you should be trying to develop Reed Sinnett to be one of the best backups in the league anyway. You're supposed to be developing him to come in and win you 2 or 3 games if Tua goes down. Stop copping out with these $5 million quarterbacks. If you're going to stand for something, stand for something. If you pick Tua and you're going to ride with him, stop bringing in the Brissetts of the world. Cut that crap. Bring you a veteran right guard. Put Hunt at right tackle. Maybe use your first round pick in the middle of the draft. You'll probably, if San Francisco, I don't care if San Francisco give you the 15th pick overall, that might be the best center coming out. Number 15 overall might be the best center in college football coming out. Might just be what you need to do. Them second round picks, get me a, matter of fact, forget that second round pick. Go ahead and trade back up in the first. I need me a dog at linebacker. I need me a dog at the linebacker position. Tired of all these powder puff. Oh, don't get me started. Let me stop. They out there doing something I couldn't imagine doing. So who am I? But I know what I'm watching as a fan. I'm watching powder puff play. And another thing you do, just keep on bringing corners in. Keep drafting them in the second round if you want. Keep developing. If we're going to hang our hat with Flores on anything, he should be able to develop defensive players at a minimum. And I get the concern. Yeah, we can go get all those assets, but that don't mean that we're gonna use them right. That don't mean that we're gonna capitalize on them. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the conversation gets larger. That's where we have a bigger conversation. Is Greer the right general manager for the Miami Dolphins? We got our core, but he's been giving money to injury-prone players. He's been passing up in the draft on much more elite players than some of the ones we got. He's been lit. And another thing, I mean, let me hear something about the scouting team taking losses and having replacements, because who hires the scouting team? I can't believe I'll be watching the Jets and be drooling about their linebackers. I don't even know none of their names, but I'll be watching the Jets freaking linebackers. I don't even know their names, and they might be trash. I just know that when I watched them last time, I was like, these guys are getting at it. They are all over the field. They are from point A to B. I don't even know who they are. They ain't even try to. Now, all of that is a scenario that all of that is a scenario. All of that is a scenario if you're not trading for Deshaun Watson. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to know this. The Miami Dolphins can be setting themselves up for success. I just gave y'all Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable with our core, not the veterans that's we're not going to keep anyway, but our young core. I just laid that out, with including Tua Tagovailoa being the future, at least us believing that, right? Now, if they don't trade for Deshaun Watson by the trade deadline, and they don't trade for him in the offseason next year, this should be the plan. And you know what? They need to know that now. Because if they're not going to do that, they need to go ahead and trade the rest of those guys and let these young players get all that prime time, get in that heat, thrown in that fire primarily. Not sitting behind nobody. No one need to be on the field getting burned every week if that's what it's going to be. If that's what it's going to be, he need to get that real game action, getting all the different looks and everything. He might be kinesthetic too. He ain't getting no work out there on the field to overcome that. And he ain't getting it in practice either. Now, if you are going to trade for Deshaun Watson by the trade deadline, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. If you trade for Deshaun Watson at the trade deadline, do the exact same plan. Yes, I said it. If you are going to trade for Deshaun Watson at the trade deadline, do the exact same freaking plan. It doesn't change anything. Trade all of them away and continue to build around your core with all that money in the offseason and all them and all of it. Now you don't recoup your draft picks back that you done gave up. Get rid of them all anyway. They getting long in the tooth. They always hurt. They ain't worth it anyway. Even if you were to go get Deshaun Watson, do the same thing. Trade all them other guys. Some of y'all saying throw the whole team away. No, you got some up-and-coming stars on this team. Y'all talking trash about this O-line now, but I actually believe that this O-line is going to be just fine in 2 years. 2 years from now, y'all ain't going to be complaining about this O-line. Now, we might be 1 or 2 players away from the O-line that we're going to have, but there's at least, I think 4, but there's at least 3 guys on this O-line that's going to be anchoring it in the near future. Y'all mark my words. I said it here. You heard me say it. Keep Austin Jackson at guard. You're going to be fine. Eichenberg at tackle. You're going to be fine. For the life of me, I still don't understand why Hunt ain't at right tackle, because he would be just fine. And matter of fact, Kenley might just end up being a long-term piece of depth for your team for years to come. Who understands this team, knows what it is. It ain't like he's a bum of all bums. No. Right now, he's playing like a really good backup and improving. He still know how to move people off their spot. And again, situational football, whatever he does best, now you can be able to move guys in and out. You got a young core on offense and defense. Utilize them. Y'all hit that like button. We had 500 people watching, only 208 likes. Only 208 likes. Punch that like button, guys. Shout out to all the new subscribers to the channel. We're about to be coming up on 18,600 and something. See, I say this every year, and you never get it. Until you address the issue in the front office, the Dolphins will always be bad. Well, I was just getting to that. Maybe Greer ain't the guy to do it anyway. I still don't believe in Flores being the guy, because Flores is still dealing with one of the youngest teams in the NFL regardless. I don't believe in him being the fall guy. But I do feel like those veterans that we have, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, somehow Jerome Baker, get rid of this guy because he ain't conducive to what we're trying to do. That's Flores' little toy, his weapon that you. Let me stop. No. Anyway, him, all the centers. Who else? Emmanuel Ogbah on the fence, though. I like to bring them back, but if they don't, they don't. If they not a part of the future, if you don't see none of them guys being on the team in 3 years anyway, then what's the wait for? What's the wait? What's going to miraculously happen between this year and next year, and we're Super Bowl contenders? I mean, there are some things that can happen, but time will tell. Anyway, man, like I said, yeah, I agree. Keep Ogbah. I would do that too, but they should have been got this man his money. We could have used this year to use up some of that money. We could have went ahead and start getting into some of the guarantees this year for him instead of waiting to give him a new deal when the deal is up. Or maybe it'll still be coming in the coming weeks, maybe, but we'll see. But Ogbah's played really good football. He is definitely a weapon you don't want to lose. But I will say this. The problem with Ogbah is you also got to consider how much would he be worth on the open market, and maybe they are having conversations. It's just the tag is too much. Because if they going to give Jerome Baker, what did they get Jerome Baker? I forgot. What did they get Jerome Baker per year? Because I'm so disgusted with it, I don't want to remember the number. What did they give Baker on the yearly? Y'all tell me, because I didn't want to remember the number. I know it's 50. I'm talking about annually. 13. Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here in my mind. I swear to y'all, I'm sitting here right now in my mind. Like, I don't remember the number, but I think it's like 10 or 11. Like, oh, how could you do that? This man is at best $8 million a year linebacker. And now y'all made me even madder again just to remember 13. If Jerome Baker gets 13, how much you think? I'm probably worth 20. I'm definitely worth double that. Even though you ain't getting double that, ain't nobody contract's really gonna be $26 million a year. Not no Ogbah, but I'm saying If Baker can get 13, they got to come with respect to Ogbah. If Baker get 13, Ogbah at a minimum got to be pushing 18. And there goes another problem. Who want to be paying $18 million for the edge? It disgusts me. I got the bubble guts now. Oh, Jerome Baker giving me his contract giving me the bubble guts. Oh, 13? Man. Now, more power to Baker, though. As a man-to-man, you get your cash, homie. You get your cash. But gosh, as a Dolphin fan, my stomach hurt. I ain't never hating on a man money. You get your cash. You robbed the Dolphins. Congratulations to you. Kudos to you. I'm proud of you, homie. Whoever your agent is, I'm proud of y'all, homie. But God dog, Miami. 13, y'all. The man been one of the worst graded players on PFF every week except last week. Still lost. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Can't make this up, man. Oh, man. I don't know what to say, y'all. It's moves like that are very highly questionable, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, gosh. I got to be honest. Waddle is a very good athlete. First of all, he ain't a wide receiver. He's a weapon. He's an athlete. He's a weapon. Because you can use him in the backfield sometimes too in certain situations, if you want it. But he's an athlete. And I ain't trying to get into this, what we should have done and this and that and this, but God dog, you got Parker and all them guys. You go get Will Fuller and all of that. At the moment, it's like kind of confusing me. And Micah Parsons was there. You know how many people was just right there sitting there? And I'm going to be honest with you. Even other receivers, you know how many of them were just sitting there? Chasing them boys out there eating. I just got to keep it 1,000. And Waddle is a great weapon, man. I like Waddle game, but I'm going to tell you, the Miami Dolphins are going to limit Waddle. Because if you're not going to allow him to also be a deep threat, then he is limited, ladies and gentlemen. He is you could just hope that he becomes your Wes Welker, which would be beautiful, but I'm just saying. They're using him in that role. And guys like chasing them out there stretching the field. Eating. TD says some questionable stuff. Well, at least it's questionable. And that's actually a good thing that I say some questionable things, because don't just stop and say, oh, that's questionable. Say, let me try to answer that question. Because if you got the rebuttal to it, then bam, you got a rebuttal. But if it's questionable and you ain't got no rebuttal, then maybe you should look at it as, he might be right. TD is talking emotional today. No, I don't know. Let me clear something up with y'all. Let me help y'all understand this channel, first of all, because some of y'all don't know this, and I got to set this straight now. What do we do on this channel? We enjoy ourselves, do what we love by talking Miami Dolphins football. But what we also do is evaluate every piece of news and situation that comes across this team. We go into all the ins and the outs. We go into all the things that might be true or might be absolutely false, but we put them all on the table. And the more information we get as we go further and further and further, we start to come up with conclusions, theories, hypotheses, all of those things. And we start to also make projections and suggestions and predictions because it's fun. And what many of y'all aren't realizing on this channel, I don't know the complete number, but 80% at least, I'm going to guess and say about 80% of the projections, hypotheses, suggestions have been correct. We are not over here to be correct. We are over here to try to be correct. So everything will not be correct. But I promise y'all, we are right over here more than we are wrong. When time all plays out, we are right more than we are wrong. In the very moment, it's easy for people to say, oh, this guy's an idiot, don't know what he's talking about. 3 years later, when it looks like exactly what I told you was going to happen, you're not even nowhere to be found. Matter of fact, a lot of the people who even leave the channel don't even remember why they left, because if they did remember why they left, they were like, oh, I can't listen to this guy no more. I can't believe he think the Miami Dolphins will trade Laremy Tunsil. You know how many subscribers we lost off of the Laremy Tunsil trade alone because I called it months before it happened? No, they didn't say, oh, man, I left TD because he said we were going to trade Laremy Tunsil, and now I'm going to go back. No, they don't even remember. Even in their head today, they're like, I had to leave from over there. He be talking crazy. What did he say crazy, man? I don't know. It's just everything he be saying. But some of them same people were the ones that left because I said that we would trade Laremy Tunsil. I said that we would trade Jay Ajayi. Matter of fact, I said we should trade Jay Ajayi, and they got mad. Because I said the way he plays the game, he only got about 2 more years left in him. He's too violent. I like it because it gets the job done, but the violence he plays with will not last in this league. And I said they need to trade him. People got mad. I said Jarvis Landry is a diva, a good player, but he a diva. All he do is catch check downs anyway. But I give him this. He is the Yak King. He gets yards after the catch because that's all he did for us. He went to Cleveland. He getting everything deep. But in Miami, all he did was the short stuff. I said, go ahead and trade him. We about to start a rebuild anyway. They got mad at me. They got mad at me. I told everybody, Kiko Alonso about to be out of here. I told them Laremy Tunsil will be gone. That's the real one they got mad at. And I said, you know what? Kenny Stills is probably out of here too. They got mad at me because they were all homers. Some of these guys' contracts and their situation can tell you. The last person that I haven't been right about yet, but I still hold my truth, is Xavier freaking Howard. And my truth, 2 years ago, I told y'all, they need to trade Xavier Howard because I don't care if he does continue to play well. It's going to be through rebuild years, and we're not even going to be able to utilize him in the Super Bowl anyway. I say first of all, even if he plays elite, we're going to waste his years. They need to go ahead and trade him and get 2 first-rounders now. And that was before he had the 10-pick season. That's when he had the 7 picks, but he was injury-prone or prone to injury. No, you an idiot, man. You got to keep X. All right, you got 10 picks out of X last year. What did it get you? He could come back this year and give you 20 picks. Where is it going to get you? At some point, y'all better realize we better go get them assets now before they be worth a bag of beans. Now he out here getting toasted and still hurt. Oh, stock falling by the day. And I was wrong when I said I don't see his production maintaining, but he put up 10 picks. I said I didn't see that coming. But again, I still would bet against him continuing to do it because he has too many injuries. And the money he's going to want just ain't going to be worth it, y'all. Everybody got mad at me. Oh, you an X hater. You just don't like X. You want X out of here. You want X out of here. You did say that, TD, but you said he didn't have good trade value at the time. 3 years ago when he came fresh off of the injury. At that time, I said, I don't think he has a great trade value. Get what you can now. And then here he goes, has 10 picks. And I'm like, gosh, I'm not going to say nothing, but this is the offseason to trade him. Get everything he will never have a higher value than that 10-pick season. Get it now. Imagine if Miami would have traded Xavier Howard, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm glad I said that. Here's what's funny about it. Imagine if the Miami Dolphins would have traded Xavier Howard in the offseason and got 2 first-round picks, just hypothetically. Imagine if they would have got 2 first-round picks. I would have been excited about the 2 first-round picks. But you know what all y'all would have said? Oh, we 0-6. It's because we ain't got Xavier Howard. And I give you, he gave us the first game. But what about the other 5? But since I wouldn't have been able to prove that, y'all would have been like, you the one that wanted X to go. Now look at us. We 0-6. Man, if X was here, we'd at least be 3-3. That's what y'all would have been arguing with me. Y'all would have been using this as justification of why we should have never traded X. Y'all tell me if I'm lying. Y'all tell me if I'm lying. All of them, that's what they would have been doing. Had we traded X for 2 first-round picks in the offseason, they would have been sitting here yelling at me, oh, we 0-6, man. It's because we traded for X. This is the proof. I get to actually prove something without it happening because everybody know deep down inside I'm right. But I bet you wish you had them 2 first-round picks right now and that $16 million. I bet you wish you had them 2 first-round picks and that $16 million now, don't you? So like I said, you ain't got to like what I say over here, but just pay attention. 80% of the freaking time we spot on. And what I take pride in is being spot on for the long-term freaking projection. I don't care nothing about I say, oh, we going to do this year or we going to do this next week and I'm wrong. Forget that. The long-term projection is what matters. You can get ahead of the long-term projections and call it right. You making a difference. And the reason why I'm pretty spot on with our long-term projections all the time is because I know everything there is to know about this team, the ins and the outs. I know almost everybody's salary except Jerome Baker because it aggravates me, and now I know it because of y'all. Y'all reminded me. I know all the ins and outs. I know when the dead cap gonna hurt. I know when they can get off of them with a little bit of dead cap. I know if we trade them, how much money we'll save. I know every single thing about almost every player on this team. Because I done took the time and went and researched every single one of them. Know their strengths, know their weakness. I know what system they better off in. So I don't sit there and just, look at the Sunday game and make conclusions off of what this team should do. No, I know what's going to put them in a good or bad situation financially, play-wise, everything. And long-term, Byron Jones ain't going to be here in 3 years. Xavier Howard ain't going to be here in 3 years. Freaking, Jerome Baker shouldn't be here in 3 years, but God dog, they gave him a how. I'm definitely wrong on the Jerome Baker, but I wasn't wrong that they shouldn't have, and I'm going to continue to not be wrong that they shouldn't have gave him that kind of money. I don't see no other team in the NFL that was going to get Jerome Baker more than $10 million. This man wasn't going to get more than 10 in the open market. It's just to even think about it. I just thought about it. You know what they were banking on? They were banking on him having a breakout year this year and us not being able to afford him next year. And they were wrong. He already looking like a bum out there, man. And they were wrong. They were banking on him having a breakout year this year because everything looked like the stars was aligning, and he was our free guy that we sit on the rush. He probably going to get 7 sacks. He probably going to get a buku of tackles. He probably going to start getting some tackles for loss because we going to get to send him freely, but they were wrong. So all y'all who want to sit in the comment section all day, TD talking crazy right now. It seems to be all the crazy things that end up coming to be true. Think I just say it to say it? I don't say this stuff to say it. And half the time I tell you it's a possibility. It don't mean it's going to happen, but look out for it. Nah, bro, you tripping now. How am I tripping on a possibility? I don't care if it's a 1% chance. It's a possibility. Man. We done made a lot of good decisions. We also made a lot of bad decisions. Now, I'm going to tell y'all now, I'm going to lose my mind. I am going to lose my mind if next offseason they extend Xavier Howard. I am going to lose my mind. It would be so Dolphin. I wonder where all them pay-to-man where all the pay-to-man people at now. Pay-to-man, TD, you a hater. You hating on X. Pay-to-man, where y'all at now? Both of the issues I told y'all about showing this ugly head. The injuries, number one, and number two, he ain't a great cover corner for the life of me. I don't know why I got to keep telling y'all he not a great cover corner. All you got to do is hit him on a crossing route or an in route, and he beat. I've been saying that for 2 years straight. Xavier Howard is not good in the middle of the field, and on occasions he'll take advantage of a trash quarterback who doesn't throw the ball but throws it beeline, and he'll cut underneath it. The man can't cover a crossing route to save his life, and don't let it be a deep crossing. He just gives up on the play. I've been telling y'all that for 2 years. Oh, you just a hater. Look at the picks. Picks ain't crossing. The man can't guard anything going across the field. He's a north and south player. And even in north and south, if the quarterback throw a perfect ball and the receiver run a perfect route, he ain't catching up with the whole ball hawk. The reason why he take advantage ball hawking quarterbacks because they float the ball up like 50-50s. And the receiver got to turn around, wait, and go up. That's X closing the gap. A lot of them plays, y'all, a lot of them picks are gimmies. Half of his picks are gimmies. The other half, the boy just makes some beautiful plays. The boy just makes some beautiful plays. But ain't many of them in crossing routes and stuff like that, man. I've been telling y'all that for 2 years, man. Xavier Howard is not a great cover corner. He's a ball hawk that gets turnovers. That's why I told y'all Byron is a better cover corner. Xavier Howard a better overall because them turnovers way heavier. Anybody will take the turnovers. Y'all look at them PFF grades. You be wondering why they be closely graded, but X got the edge a little. Them interceptions. You take them interceptions away, I promise you X is like that to Byron. Take them PFFs away. Because you know another thing about Byron Jones? Even if he get beat, he ain't far away. It be plays where X get beat. You don't even know who was guarding the guy. You watch the replay and be like, dang, the man ran a deep in route and X never went in. He just kept going back. Make you think it was his own. But I will say this. Last year, Xavier Howard shocked me because whenever I watched film of Xavier Howard last year, this was the first time I actually saw him become a better cover corner last year. He was a better cover corner. He was getting nasty and grimy in the run game. He was actually sticking with his man. He still got beat on crossing routes because that's something he still ain't never improved. He still get beat on crossing routes. Still. You heard him in the Bucs game, the commentator. I understand it was Antonio Brown. The commentator said it himself out his mouth. Brady's just such a veteran. You know, he puts Xavier Howard knowing that he's a ball hawk and this and that. He says, you know what? I'm not going to exclude you and just take Antonio Brown away. I'm just going to give him a route that I know you struggle with. I'm going to send him on a crossing route. How does the commentator know he struggled with crossing routes? But I'm just hating. Nah, people know this, man. Y'all just refuse to admit it. Man, I'm done for the night, man. I done said my piece. At the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins should get ahead of the inevitable. We have outs. We have outs that won't set us back 4 years, but instead just this year. And next year go right back into it with the better outlook. We got outs. I know everybody's scratching their head. Do we blow it all up? Do we just keep adding to this and it just keep looking like the 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, where we win in 7, we win in 8, we win in 9, we win in 7, we win in 8, we win in 9? No, we got an out. Get ahead of the inevitable. Trade those guys, get the assets, and now you can be creative in the offseason. It's that freaking simple. This TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. I will see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully do the all 22 film breakdown, man. We'll go from there. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace. I am out.